Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back here at the square table for our communion by the same name. Yeah, we're here.
Par for the couch.
Yep. Square table communion, par for the couch, communion, yes.
Yes.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. We've got the usual suspects, myself, Danius, and Cavonian.
Yes.
We are
Also,
here.
yes.
Also, yes. Yes. You're pointing at me. Why are you pointing at me?
You didn't introduce yourself. You said me.
I am me.
But this is their first episode.
What if this is the first episode?
I just said that.
What if Kevin didn't say that first and I said that this is the first episode?
Then I would have called you a liar.
That's weird.
So,
Whoa.
never mind.
To pull a name from some form of media, I can't remember. I'm Johann van der Schmidt.
He was number one.
He was number one. He was not.
Wrong character, but go for it.
Yeah.
It was a guess.
And
I know
yeah.
it was way longer. But
First and foremost, as is our usual, how has everyone been since we last recorded?
well, it's been a long time,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm doing pretty good. I've gotten a lot of sleep. A couple new video games came out that I've enjoyed.
Okay. Like
The Guilty Gear game.
Strive.
Yeah, it's Guilty Gear Strive.
Guilty Gear Strive.
Strive. Lots of fun. Usually I have a little bit of a hard time getting into Guilty Gear fighters.
This one's different.
This one I've definitely... I think it's visually the prettiest the game's ever looked. Can't talk much in terms of balance or any of that because I didn't put too much time into the other ones, but it is very pretty and it is very fun.
Yeah.
And then they had what is it called? Nintendo Games Garage?
It's like the Nintendo, or it's like the Game Builder Garage, I think.
Game Builder Garage, where from a game designer standpoint, it's like the actual like logic design side of it.
Mm-hmm.
If X, then Y, and you assign buttons and all the stuff. You got to see a little bit of it, John.
Yep.
That is a kind of game that I am very interested in, although I feel I lack a lot of imagination, which would help.
Well, that's why you know me.
Yeah, I'm pretty good on the logic side, so I should be able to figure out how to make it do what I want.
Mm-hmm.
I just need the vision to see what I want to do to work towards. So I think that game is a lot of fun so far. Haven't gotten too deep into it, but looking to get deeper. That's been my week. How about John?
My week has been pretty uneventful. I haven't done much in the last week or so. At the time of recording this, we had that D&D session mentioned in the last podcast episode.
You were looking very forward to that.
I was, and then I let myself down.
I think it went great.
I think I could have done more if I wasn't worried about the time constraint.
It definitely got time crunchy at the end.
Yeah. And I feel like that definitely did not do it any justice. But hopefully can make up for it in the next episode or the next session of D&D that we do. Other than that,
well, you got past a large hurdle by the end of the last session, being the first round.
Yeah.
So now it can slow down to the pace that you're comfortable with.
Correct.
And since we're starting right there, you have plenty of time.
Yeah. The RP that happened prior to the tournament start, I felt like had some interesting bits. Or some interesting repercussions or potential repercussions, I guess.
Mm.
But yeah, other than D&D, my usual hots. I think that's really the only game I've played.
Heroes of the Storm?
Yep.
It's the only one?
I think so.
You need to play more Pokemon Snap.
What if I could? What if
No,
I could?
you wouldn't.
If I
Because
owned
I've
it,
given you every opportunity.
if I owned it, I probably would.
You can borrow my copy.
That's the same problem as me not playing his.
I try to let him do a 4-minute run through a level just to see how he likes it, and he refuses.
Oh.
He says he'd rather watch a pro Twitch streamer.
Not my words.
How about you, Kevin? How's your week been?
Not good, but I'm here.
So it's been great.
Sure, we'll call it that.
Kevin, we went to breakfast.
We did go to breakfast, and that was great. That was very delightful. It was the same day we picked up Guilty Gear, which I also have been playing and really enjoying.
In regards to the last podcast episode, you said that during the brunch, Danny would be eating some delicious jams and jellies. Did he fulfill his promise?
He did not.
I had buttered bread as an appetizer.
Danius!
It's my fault now?
You swore by the jelly.
He really did.
You swore by the grape jelly. And you come back at me saying that you go back on your word?
I do not remember saying I was going to have grape jelly. I don't even know if they serve grape jelly at Cheesecake Factory, John.
He didn't even bother to ask, did he?
He didn't.
My.
To be fair, I forgot to hold him to it, because I'm pretty sure I said I was going to do that.
My gosh.
But also, Danny, what the fuck? Why didn't you get that grape jam?
I had plenty of delicious food from that place.
What did you get?
Well,
Outside of the obvious lack of jelly.
yeah, we started with an appetizer.
Of.
It was soft pretzel bites
Okay.
with fondue dipping cheese.
Okay.
Uh,
Was it a yellow or a white?
It was yellow.
Okay. So standard dipping cheese. Nothing fancy.
It was fondue, which is pretty fancy.
Sure.
That was delicious. Kevin had some as well.
It was quite good.
It was very good.
Was it like the little pretzel bites that have like little bits of salt on them?
It did have a little bit of salt, not as much as I think I would prefer. But they're bigger. Like I would cut it with a knife and dip each half into the fondue cheese.
Just smaller than mochi.
You talking like mochi ice cream or like the mochi that you'd see in mochi donuts?
Mochi ice cream.
Okay.
When
Sorry, for the record, mochi ice cream is slightly bigger than the mochi that you would see in the mochi donuts.
Okay.
Anyway,
I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
mochi ice cream is usually when you go to like a sushi place or some kind of like Asian cuisine restaurant, and the mochi ice cream is like an ice cream ball wrapped in mochi dough, which is a rice dough. And it usually comes in different flavors like green tea, chocolate, vanilla, strawberry. The mochi donuts is without the ice cream and then kind of...
But with the donuts.
But it's in the shape of a donut and has some goodness spread on top of it.
Okay. That would be why I don't know of this, because I don't eat at such places.
Yes. I would recommend a mochi donut. They're very good.
Sounds
sound
like
good.
it'd be worth a try.
I had a strawberry one last week. It's really good.
From where?
There's once again, for those of you that don't know, we live in Vegas, specifically in Nevada, because there is another Las Vegas, I think, in New Mexico.
Yes.
And down on Spring Mountain, I don't remember the cross street specifically, but there is a place that specializes in like mochi based desserts, and one of them are mochi donuts.
Nice.
Very good. Very nice.
Didn't even get one for us.
Well, for the record, that was a week ago.
Oh, so we weren't friends a week ago, is what you're saying?
Damn right.
That's fair.
You're best friends now.
Wow.
That is fair. When the
Hashtag blessed.
Blessed. Italicized. And
Bolded.
bold.
And underlined.
yes.
Strike through it as well.
When my meal came out at Cheesecake Factory, it was the Italian trio. It was, let's see, chicken parmesan.
Okay.
Sharing a plate with rigatoni. It was like cheese stuffed rigatoni shells.
Okay.
Sharing a plate with Alfredo noodles. It was like the tour of Italy from Olive Garden, except I think tastier.
Isn't Alfredo the sauce?
Yes, it was a white sauce noodles,
What kind of noodles?
the kind with white sauce on them.
Were they like spaghetti noodles?
I think we're fettuccine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Noodles.
No, there's a difference, Danny.
No, they're both noodles.
If you see... What did you get, Kevin?
I got a Cuban sandwich.
Okay.
It was really good. That's
I've
usually
no-
what I get when I go there.
Gotcha. I've never been to Cheesecake Factory.
We should all go sometime.
No one's ever taken me.
We should all go.
We should.
We weren't friends last week, or I would have taken you. Although I do think you were working that day.
What day was it?
Thursday?
Yes.
Yep.
Thursday.
I work. Gotta make that bread.
I was eating bread. Just
Technically,
without the jam.
or the jelly that you so promised.
I don't remember promising anything.
Moving on. So, was there anything else to add to your week?
I got Game Maker Garage as well. I think I said that. But I've also been enjoying that.
I think it was implied.
Kevin got it first. I saw him playing and I said, that looks like something I'd enjoy as well.
Yeah, because you... What day was that? Thursday?
Friday.
Wednesday.
Eh.
No,
No, it was after.
It wasn't Tuesday. I think it was
it had
Wednesday.
to be Wednesday because Thursday's the day we went. So it was, it was, no, it was Thursday.
Yeah, because there
we
was...
went on Friday.
Yeah. So, Thursday night was when we all met up. You were playing it, and then you bought it, like, right as everyone was leaving.
Mm-hmm. I finished a couple games, like the tutorials,
Mhm.
before the end of the night, but
Yeah.
good times.
Yeah.
I also picked up Dreams.
Which I still have no idea what that is.
It's like Game Builder Garage, but way more artsy.
Way more in depth, I would say.
Yes.
If you had to compare a game that would have been made in the Nintendo one versus Dreams, what would your comparison games be?
Oh man, like I don't even know the depth of what you can do with the Nintendo one.
Okay, think
But
like
I know it's crazy deep. You can make some
Mhm.
killer stuff in that.
Galaga versus like Super R type Final, like a current one. The Dreams is
I don't know what that
Super
second one you said is.
it's another rail shooter, space shooter.
Okay.
It was a pretty popular one back in the day, R
Mhm.
type. But imagine, I guess, Galaga versus like Star Fox.
Okay.
It's a big difference.
That's a very noticeable difference.
So, for example, I was actually telling Danny yesterday, someone made a like pretty spot on replica of Link's Awakening on the Switch
In which one?
in Dreams,
Oh.
and it looks
We're talking like original or new?
new. The one on the Switch,
Okay.
but it looks like it plays just as well.
Mhm.
And I was like, if I can make that and just tweak it so it's nothing but or something similar,
Mhm.
and just tweak it so it's a bunch of just like crazy combat challenges because I love those in Zelda games.
Mhm.
Then I think I'm all about that. So I think that'll be my project, is making like a Zelda 2D Zelda inspired combat
Yeah.
crazy gauntlet.
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
The Nintendo Garage game is more about teaching people how to
Game build.
program. Yeah.
Mhm.
Dreams is more about
You're already past that point.
yeah,
Here's how you can make it look really fucking nice.
it's like custom everything. My roommate was showing us Dreams, and he pulled up a few of his favorites. And someone made a fan-made Sonic Adventure game
Okay.
that looked and felt just as gorgeous as the others. Sonic was a little floatier than normal,
Hmm.
but it was like full-blown levels extra controls.
They had like the ring dash mechanic implemented. Like
It was just pretty incredible to see.
Like I played it for like 25 minutes, and it was, as Danny said, it's a little floaty. But other than that, I felt like I was playing an actual Sonic game.
Yeah. Do you think that could lead to copyright issues?
Probably not,
I would
because
say no.
it's always
Because I imagine that there's some companies that be like, that's in our intellectual property, and even though you made a custom game about it, and you didn't talk to us about it, we're gonna sue you.
All of the fan made stuff comes with disclaimers and stuff. Fans who make it are like, this is not my property. I'm just a big fan. This is what I've been working on.
Okay.
Someone made they're like making an incredible like Avatar game, fan made game.
Which Avatar?
Last Airbender.
Okay.
The Airbender. Specifically the one with Aang.
Mm-hmm. With the gang.
Yes.
That's the group of like Aang, Katara, Sokka,
Okay.
Suki.
Because a gang could also be.
Yeah, but it's spelled like G-A and then an A in parentheses, N-G.
Gotcha.
The gang.
Okay. It is not finished.
Sure.
But they've put out the different sections and maps and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All handmade and absolutely gorgeous. Like the game is astounding, and there's also so much crap. People just stealing assets and just throwing stuff together and being like, "Here's my game," because who can stop them?
Uh-huh.
I believe we found a Shrek train, which was just a train with Shrek's face on the edge of it, and it was all green.
It also had his beautiful arms coming off the left and right.
Yeah, he had arms.
It was a pretty great looking asset, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, it was way better than everything else in the level. He had super obviously just wiped it from somebody else.
Yeah. Did it look like how clean did it look, or did it look similar to what was it, the Legend of Korra Platinum Games game?
I don't know.
Are you familiar with that one, Kevin?
Vaguely. I'm trying to think of like a comparison. It's like, it doesn't have like the same level as polish visually as the
Platinum Games.
Platinum Games one. Because the way I'm guessing you build a lot of characters in that, I know they're built segmented like N64 character models.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't like,
got it.
Like legit quote unquote model and sculpt a character in that, but you can still come really effing close with some really cool creative ways.
Gotcha. So when you say that they look like clean and beautiful, like they're reminiscent of like Dreamcast, Nintendo 64, like those type of graphics, or are we
current gen?
Oh, we're talking current gen.
Current gen.
Okay.
Just the way they built the model, like the character models in segments, is more of like a older 3D thing, like
Gotcha.
64 Dreamcast, I think, still did that. You might have seen some of it in PS2.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, from what I could tell, the worst thing about the game, the only negative I really have to say was the UI didn't seem ideal to me. Seemed like it could have been worked on a little bit more, but the game itself and the things people have done with it, just like the Little Big Planet, the game before it, the creativity people have is incredible, and what they can do with what they're limited with is absolutely incredible.
Yeah. That's fair. I have never been not a fan. I've never gone out of my way to play a game like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's not my thing.
The make your own kind of game.
Yeah, like RPG Maker, the Nintendo Garage, Dream, games like of that style. It's never been my thing.
You're more logic than creative kind of thing.
And that's just how my brain works. But I have no issues, or any negativity or animosity towards people that do.
Mhm.
You know, you do you, as long as you don't step on anyone's toes. But is he causing problems?
I'm stepping on Danny's toes.
A toes.
He's little piggies.
Anything else for the week for any of us?
I will say, I know that you give me the occasional flack for watching games instead of playing them.
Yes.
I did, because I don't have a PS5,
Mhm.
I was able to watch someone on Twitch play the newest Ratchet and Clank game.
That does look very interesting.
It's very fun. It looks very fun, and I think you would get a kick out of it.
I've never played a Ratchet and Clank game before. I've seen Josh, my roommate, play them. They look very fun. But
They're fun. The PS4 reimagine of the first one was really good.
Mm-hmm. I think that came out in 2016?
Maybe. Yeah, it might have been around then, but damn, that game don't look solid. Like, that game looks so visually fucking good.
Oh, dude, so is the PS5 one.
Oh, I bet the PS5 one is like
It's gorgeous.
brain melting.
It's gorgeous. Like, one of the things that people have been doing a lot in that game is they've been using the photo mode in that game, and people are taking pictures. So, long story short, there's Ratchet, and then because the game is called Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart or something like that, there's some multi-dimensional shenanigans that go on.
Mm.
And she's literally on the cover. Her name is Rivet. And she is like, I think they're called Lombaxes.
Yes.
She is a Lombax just like Ratchet. And for obvious reasons, people like to sexualize things on the internet. And first and foremost, people taking pictures of Rivet look like they are real. That is the quality of the game in and of itself. Like, you look like you could just like grab that model of Rivet.
It's that photorealistic.
Yeah, and it looks like you just grabbed a toy. And it looks real. I will also say that they have done a good job giving Rivet a lot of very cute facial animations.
nice.
But looks like you'd have a lot of fun with it. A lot of just destruction and killing things and stuff like that.
Yeah, if my roommate picks it up. He has a PS5.
He said I don't think he said he wasn't. Or he said. I think he said he wasn't interested in it.
Yeah.
I really want to get a PS5, but money.
And also, good luck finding
Also
one.
availability.
That too.
I ain't thinking about. I ain't even thinking about getting one until Final Fantasy 16.
Also, maybe they'll fix their controllers from drifting by then.
I mean, same could be said with Nintendo.
Nintendo won't even address that they have that issue.
Sure. But
They're regressing.
apparently the 7 remakes, like part 1.5 came out.
Yes.
And-
That one Josh is definitely grabbing.
And I'm genuinely irritated because I want a PS5 so that I can play it.
it's not on. It's only PS5.
I am not sure.
You might be able to. If it's on PS4, you could probably just get Intergrade.
Yeah.
And then just play it.
I'd have to look into it because I don't remember off the top of my head. But
Jimmy got it. So
yeah. Anything else? Work sucks.
I know.
I think everyone can talk about that.
she
But
left me roses by the stairs.
Surprises let me know she cares. No, 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 no.
You forgot to say it ain't so.
No, 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 no.
You know what's great? I was actually thinking about us doing that with that specific part of the song like 3 nights ago at work.
Really?
Yeah.
so
Roses by the stairs. Surprised that me know she cares.
where's it from?
That's was it it's a Blink 182 song. I think it's
I wouldn't know anything about it.
all the small things.
All the
Oh, so I know of that song. I don't know the lyrics outside of
small
those words.
things.
I never got into the alternative scene.
Neither did I, but I did have Now That's What I Call Music Volume 4. And that's where I heard it a lot on.
I didn't have any of those until I think someone got me the no, that's what I call music, volume 16 as like a white elephant gift.
Awful.
That would be a great
I
white
hate
elephant.
white elephant.
Also, someone got me the regular DVD version of Pixels with Adam Sandler.
Oh, gross.
And I was just like, oh,
Did they hate you?
should no. They got a big laugh out of it.
It's like an Eric level gift.
Yeah, that's a pretty harsh gift.
However, we are not talking about white elephants or music or anger towards others, I guess.
Depends. That last one depends. What are we talking about, John?
We are talking about Star Trek.
Today's the Star Trek episode.
How long did it take us to get into that?
About a half an hour.
Sweet.
I felt like that was a really good padding for this episode.
So, just so we're all starting on the same page, John, how much experience do you have with Star Trek?
I have seen all of it except the animated series.
Kevin, how much experience do you have with Star
I'm going to put myself at like 3%.
3%. John, does this include all of the movies as well?
Yes.
The motion picture?
Yes. I have seen it. I just haven't seen it in a very long time.
Wrath of Khan?
Yep.
Search for
It's about
Spock.
Rathalos of Khan.
That would be an interesting as fuck movie. I'm just imagining Rathalos with a giant astronaut bubble helmet.
He'd be riding. Khan would be riding him with the bug net. He'd just be riding one. It would be a very scary for
It would be terrifying.
Kirk would not have much of a chance.
What if you had Spock with him? Spock's really good, right?
That wouldn't.
Spock is good.
Spock might have been able to do something with science because he's a science officer. He could have maybe figured something out after using Kirk as like a meat shield or something.
No, because he will forever be his friend. I myself don't have too much experience. I've seen most of several series. I've seen most of The Next Generation, Voyager, and now I am pretty early into Deep Space Nine. I have seen all of the movies, even the new ones with Chris
Pine.
There's so many Chris's in movies now.
There is.
There's only like 3 or 4 that you need to know.
There is.
There he is.
There
Chris
is.
Pine was in the new Wonder Woman movie.
He was. If Kirk dies,
Which Kirk?
when Spock says that I will forever be your friend,
Mm-hmm.
if Kirk dies, that statement would still be true. Because that would never give Kirk the chance to not be his friend.
He would have to continue being dead Kirk's friend. He would have to keep it up. There'd have to be some.
Technically, he wouldn't have to, because it is a long-lasting friendship, and because Kirk is dead, the friendship can never be broken.
You could argue that it would break as soon as he died, but I'm saying that he's saying, I will forever be your friend. If you die, I would still have to uphold the forever being your friend part, which means I would have to, at the very least, keep you in my memories.
Which he would, because he's a Vulcan.
Vulcan has no moon. That's a quote from Spock.
Which time?
Oh, that's classic Spock.
Okay,
Yeah.
Leonard Nimoy Spock.
Yeah, but
Okay.
then in the new movies, they put
A moon.
Spock on the Vulcan moon, so he could watch Vulcan get sucked into a black hole.
So that's the first new movie.
Okay.
With Chris Pines.
Did he do something bad? Is that why he has to
Okay.
watch them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
Okay, he did something bad. The bad guy.
No.
Did he do the
bad guy thinks he did something bad. Romulan
He's a
space.
So
So you're telling me Romulan is Romulan?
Romulan
No.
is always Romulan. First of all,
no.
Okay. You guys give me mixed
I
signals.
can already give you the example of one no. Because in DS9, in an episode that's coming up shortly, the Romulans do help.
spoilers.
They do help. I'm not spoiling everything. They do help with something.
For their own gains, though?
No.
Oh.
They donate something.
Oh.
But the first Chris Pine movie,
Mm-hmm.
basically what happens is in the distant future,
Very distant.
we're talking like 800 years.
Okay, so big distant.
Big distant.
Okay.
That could also be a flub number. I just can't remember it off the top of my head. Basically what happens is it's future Spock.
Okay.
Old Spock.
We're talking old Spock.
So
Like Leonard Nimoy old
like
Spock.
King from Atlantis old Spock?
No.
Older.
He's more active than that.
Okay,
He's
so
not
kinda like
stuck on a throne.
kind of like was it Xehanort in Kingdom Hearts,
Yeah,
right?
Xehanort.
Okay.
Xehanort.
That'd probably be better, but it was played by Leonard Nimoy at the time.
Mhm.
So it's old Spock. And so it's old Spock, and what happens is a sun goes supernova. Spock, being a Vulcan and part of the Vulcan and Federation, like, pinnacles of their governments because of who he is and was, he came up with something called red matter. One drop of red matter can create a black hole.
Okay.
And so what he did was,
He has so much red matter.
for no reason, you only need like one drop of red matter.
The smallest drop makes a black hole. He's flying around in a ship that has like a beach ball size thing.
Amount of red matter.
And he
s-
like sticks a big needle into it and pulls out a tiny drop in from the center.
Yep. And
Anyway,
so
continue.
what happens is he couldn't save Romulus, which is the Romulan homeworld. For the record, Romulans are Vulcans who feel emotion.
Okay.
Is that a literal sense?
Yes.
Okay.
And so Spock couldn't save Romulus, and by the time he got to the shockwave of the supernova, he then, Romulus was already destroyed. He deployed red matter, which then black holed like that chunk of the supernova.
Okay.
So that way it couldn't harm anything in its way.
So he saved the day, but too late for the Romulan home planet.
Yes.
Okay.
And so the bad guy in the first movie,
Nero.
Nero.
My name is Nero.
My name is Nero.
That's what he says. That's Nero.
He comes off as a very socially awkward Romulan.
Okay.
And so what he did was he showed up to Spock being like, hey, you couldn't save Romulus when you could have. I hate you. And so Spock accidentally deploys another red matter, which then creates a black hole. They both get sucked in, but at different angles of the black hole. Nero's mining ship, which at the time was a futuristic mining ship, which is very, very good at destroying shit, gets sucked into the...
He modified it.
Either way. He gets sucked into the black hole first, which translates to him going back in time first. Spoilers for the movie, obviously. He goes back in time
Like
first.
the very first scene of the movie.
Okay.
Well, it doesn't get explained at that time.
Correct.
He shows up in what at the time is like Romulan space in that period of time. And a Federation ship science vessel shows up, and you find out that the commander of the ship, not the captain, the commander, whose last name is Kirk. It's not James T. Kirk, but his dad.
Okay.
And so the Romulan ship coming out of the black hole is like, yeah, hi. Interesting. You're part of the Federation, which means you also belong with Spock, so I hate you. And so he blows up that ship. Like that.
It can't even defend itself. The mining looks like a giant space tentacles.
I've seen.
Okay.
I remember that. Yeah.
The weapons that he deploys are these weird, like, spike torpedoes that just kind of like, and then they, like, go through the shields, basically.
Okay.
Because their shields at the time are weak as fuck. Because it's a science vessel, and their shields are generally weaker than the rest.
Because this movie has to be super turbocharged emotionally, Kirk's wife is giving birth to James T. Kirk at that moment of destruction. She is on an escape vessel. He's like, you need to get off the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And
Also-
she's like, you need to come with me. And he's like,
well, the captain dies, and so that immediately made
him captain.
Made him captain. And he was like, as part of the honor of being in Starfleet and duty, captain goes down with the ship. And so Kirk's dad stays on the ship. The wife and James T go on a shuttle pod escaping as like that ship is exploding. By the way, James T. Kirk's dad is played by Liam Hemsworth, Chris Hemsworth's brother.
Oh.
Chris Hemsworth is Thor.
I did not know. That was his brother.
Yeah. So, flash forward. What were we talking about originally?
Why Spock was being treated as the bad guy. So the ship hangs out in that general area and waits.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, Spock's ship comes through off screen,
And
is captured.
he waited like, I think it was 20 years or some shit.
Basically enough time for Kirk to become, even though Spock was literally sucked in like seconds later. He popped out 20 years later in the current day.
Yep.
But because this ship showed up, it disrupted the timeline that we like.
Like the original
the
Star Trek
classic
timeline.
Star Trek timeline is now changed.
Being rewritten.
Yes. So Kirk and Spock might never have met, except they do because fate. But they don't like each other as young Kirk and young Spock. They butt heads very much.
Yeah.
I recall that. Did they get along very well on the show when they were young?
The classic show, they were always really good friends.
Okay.
He was
You're talking TNG. Or sorry,
the classic
the
Star Trek.
original series.
Yep.
So
they were always good.
at that point,
They weren't too young at that point.
they weren't that young. They were, well, James T. Kirk was probably mid-30s at that point. And the Chris Pine movie takes place when he's like 23.
Okay.
And so the whole thing was like, as you were saying, future Spock shows up out of the rift. Nero captures him, takes the ship with the red matter, and then basically just plunks future Spock on the Vulcan moon. And mind you, this is 20 years later. So James T. Kirk gets on the Enterprise, and they make their way to Vulcan because there's some weird readings going on. And there was this whole Federation fleet shows up. All of them are destroyed in broken bits, and the Enterprise shows up, and there's a really cool like going through like the debris field. And then the Enterprise gets through it, and there's Nero's ship with some weird like umbilical cord thing going down onto Vulcan. You find out it's a mining laser, and he's literally just digging a giant hole, like boring a giant hole into Vulcan to the core. To which
His master plan, he's going to drop red matter right
into the core.
center of Vulcan.
To which he succeeds. And you watch as Vulcan just kind of implodes on itself. And now the Vulcans are an endangered species.
And old Spock is very sad. Young Spock is very conflicted.
Old Spock is very sad. However, it's old Spock who's had many, many years of experience. And so he's very good at hiding it. Except for when young Kirk shows up.
He opens up to young Kirk because young Kirk, he knows Kirk from his timeline. It's classic Spock.
Mhm.
So he's like, hey, we're good buddies in my timeline. You need to convince me, whatever. And he's like, we're not buddies in this timeline, pal.
And then old Spock is like, Jim, I just saw my whole family die. I am emotionally compromised.
Yeah, he's like, you need to take over the ship. It is your rightful ship. And he's like, well, your younger self is the one commanding it right now. He's like, you just need to convince him he's emotionally compromised. And so he basically goes up there and is just like,
Hey, you're a fucking...
you're a nerd and your whole family and planet just blew up. You suck.
How can you live
God.
with yourself?
Yeah.
And then-
Spock just starts beating the crap out of him.
Like, an angry Vulcan can be terrifying. because
They're strong.
they are very strong for like no reason.
Yeah.
Vulcans are just naturally very strong. Which spoilers for the second movie. Hey buddy. Milton hopped up on a chair. Spoilers for the second movie. There was an homage that shows up in that movie that gave me such nostalgia and a warm fuzzy.
Tribbles.
Were there triples in that one?
No.
There were tribbles in 2.
Oh.
There was a tribble in 2.
So I'm aware of tribbles.
It saved Kirk's life.
That's right. I think there were more than one.
Maybe.
Well, there's always more than one, right?
That's
Yes.
that's the trouble with tribbles.
That's the name of the episodes, typically. Anyway, big spoilers for 2. I apologize in advance.
I've seen 2.
So you know that he dies.
Yes.
Old Spock dies. And one of the things that old Spock left for current Spock was a photograph from the original Kirk movies.
Cue Nickelback.
Shut up, Danny.
Look at this graph.
And so it is a legit like photograph of the original, like we're talking William Shatner's movies, of that whole crew on that Enterprise's bridge. And I saw that and I was just like, oh, well, you son of a bitch.
It was very lovely.
And then there's Khan.
Well, we got to get out of the first one. So,
Are we going to keep going? Are we only going to talk about the new movies?
the new movies. There's so much Star Trek to even talk about.
I mean, you're right. Blessed be Garrick. That's a DS9 character. Anyway,
Gold Dukat.
fuck that guy.
Gold caught.
He's an okay guy. Why would you say that?
I don't know. Why do I say anything, Danny?
I don't know. It's almost like you know something about Gold Dukat that I don't.
I do.
He seems like an okay guy. They have different goals than the main characters in the show,
Mm-hmm.
but he doesn't seem like. Well,
He's a spoonhead.
okay.
Is his head a literal spoon?
First of all, that's a slur,
It is a slur.
so don't. He was in charge of the space station before the Federation took over,
When it was called Terok Nor.
and
But you don't know that.
Cardassians are not friendly aliens to other aliens, especially the people that they were making concentration camps of.
They are very arrogant.
Gotcha.
And he was in charge, and it's like a military dictatorship, basically.
Okay.
So he's not looked upon favorably, but every time he's interacted with the show, he's always playing both sides, but he seems to be more upfront than most Cardassians.
Excluding Garrick. Blessed be.
Kinda. He's not upfront at all. He's helpful, but he is not upfront at all.
Garrick is a fan favorite character.
He's my personal favorite character of the whole show.
Because
so far.
he's known as the Cardassian spy. Or just plain simple Garrick.
He's a tailor. He's like the only one left on the whole ship, the only Cardassian.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's like, well, he's obviously here just so he can spy on us. And he's like, I'm just a tailor. Like, do you guys need a suit? Like, and he's like really helpful and friendly and charming, but he's so blatantly a spy the whole time. And it's great. And he's not bad at it.
He's actually
really-
a very, very well skilled tailor.
Yeah. I've seen a little deeper into his character, and he comes from a colorful past.
Okay. So since I don't have any visual reference, I just keep imagining Garrus from Mass Effect as
Imagine
a tailor.
Garrus, but he's got more ridges on his forehead.
And no, like, back head tendril looking things.
Gross.
Actually, Turians are kind of similar to Cardassians.
They're not.
They're not really backstabby, but they're like
Turians are aviaries.
duty.
Turians are avian based. Cardassians are reptile based.
I'm not talking physically. I'm talking about
Personality wise.
personality.
Okay.
They're like the Taurians in Mass Effect are like the military, kind of.
Okay.
They're all very duty bound.
Mm.
Cardassians are military-esque.
But slightly more arrogant.
They don't play well with others.
Gotcha.
Sometimes Turians don't either, but
Speaking of not playing well with others, when are they going to kick off the Deep Space Nine ship, Quark?
Never.
He's literally done nothing but ruin everyone's experience there.
That's not true.
What did he do in the last episode? He was helping smuggle weapons to the Cardassians in the Cardassian neutral zone.
Actually, no, it was to the Maquis. Because it was the Vulcan that came up and said, hey, I want weapons.
Yeah, he was supplying to the other side of the war.
Also, I wouldn't be surprised if he was supplying to the Cardassians either.
He is like that. But my point is...
The first Chris Pine movie is your point. Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
My name's Nero.
My name is Kyrie.
Sora.
Nero.
Giant ship. Go boom. He's like, I don't like that you are Federation. I'm going to kill you. And Chris Pines is like, well, I am the main character. How does he win?
Who?
Oh,
Chris.
he shoots red matter into the alien ship and throws him into a black hole.
So it's actually much more terrifying of a concept than that. One of the things that Nero did was basically forced the current captain, who is Captain Pike, played...
Is he not Admiral Pike?
He's Admiral in this... Well, he gets promoted.
Okay.
But in this one, he's Captain Pike.
Okay.
And so basically, Kirk and Spock find a way to beam aboard.
They save him.
Yeah, they save him while also just completely screwing over all of Nero's plans. But more importantly, current Spock goes into the captured future Spock ship, and the ship is futuristic and is like, oh, there's a person sitting in the chair. Oh, you're Spock.
I read your DNA. You're Spock.
And current Spock is like, fascinating. As he's like, the chair is rotating for him to like get into position.
So he's able to fly a super high-tech future ship
With a beach ball
armed to
size
the
red
teeth
matter.
with basically a flying bomb, which I don't know why Nero ever didn't just not put that on a ship. I don't know why Nero had that with him.
Because he didn't have any other ship to deal with.
I would have just ejected that and been like, I would have thrown that ship at Vulcan if I was him.
Yeah, but then he wouldn't have been able to get revenge. Because he wanted revenge on Vulcans and the Federation. Because neither of them were allies to the Vulcans. And they didn't help.
Mm.
But basically what happens is current Spock flies future Spock's ship with the red matter, kamikaze style, into Nero's ship right as current Spock is beamed back to the Enterprise. The beach ball sized container of red matter then starts to activate itself on contact. All of those make a giant black hole. One giant black hole.
Which this thing is in the center of.
Nero's ship.
And then I think Chris Pines is like, hey, say you give up and we'll beam you and anyone else over. Because you'll be prisoners, but you'll be alive. He's like,
I would rather die.
I'd rather die than accept help. And he's like, okay, just shoot all phasers and
Torpedoes
and everything. This guy is being sucked into a black hole, and Chris Pines is like, let's shoot everything we got at him anyway. And it's like, this is overkill, man. What are you doing? But he does it. He shoots fireworks, and
great movie.
Then they leave, and then old Spock is like, I can't tell you about the past. Don't even ask me.
But by the way, I'm gonna help repopulate Vulcans.
And then young Spock's like, I'm an endangered species. I have to stay here and help repopulate. And old Spock's like, nah, We can be in two places at once. I'll do the repopulating. You do the adventures.
Because the whole point is Future Spock is like, you and Kirk need to become friends. Like, I'm on my moral high horse here. You can't take me off.
He's like, don't ask me anything about the future ever, because I won't tell you, because that's a paradox.
It is.
And then in the second movie, young Spock's like, hey, there's this guy I just met. I don't know anything about him. His name's Khan. And old Spock is like, holy crap, he's bad news. Let me tell you all about this guy. And just gets him talking.
And then, because one of the things I love about the first movie is the implication that because Future Spock accidentally did time shenanigans, that gave like J.J. Abrams and many of the other directors, that there have been other directors, the ability to literally just make whatever movie they want.
They can go off script. They can make the Klingons good guys.
They could.
They won't.
You're gonna love DS9, Danny. I keep saying it. Just like with the D&D campaign, you're gonna love it. So the second movie, we get
Into Darkness.
Into Darkness. We get Benedict Cumberbatch as Khan, and boy, howdy, does he do a great job.
He does a good Khan, but he's also the sympathetic character in the movie.
For like the first 75-80% of the movie.
I feel like everything he does out of necessity for survival.
Which is accurate. Because...
I can't fault someone for trying to survive.
Right. But that's the whole thing with the... if you folks out there don't know, Khan is a genetically modified superhuman, basically.
Yes.
He thinks faster. He's stronger. Like, he's able to outpower Spock, a half-blooded like Vulcan, but he's able to keep up with Spock and beat him. Not to mention the fact that in 2, throughout the entirety of Star Trek's history, on screen, nobody has been able to really get past a Vulcan neck pinch.
Mm-hmm.
Except Khan. Khan
just wills himself out of it.
Because Spock, if you remember, near the end of the movie where it's Spock and Kirk versus Khan on like the floating ship going through the city,
mm-hmm.
Spock like begins the neck pinch and Khan's just like, nah! And he's like, how about no? And just reverses it.
To kind of put Khan's powers into definable terms. He is bigger, faster, and stronger too. He's probably better than Donkey Kong. He's better than the first member of the DK crew.
Wow.
But at the same time, I want to point out.
So you're saying that guy's so strong it isn't funny?
Oh, he can make a
Romulan?
He can make a Romulan cry out for Mummy. It's true.
Is he able to handstand when he needs to?
Oh man, he could stretch his arms out just for you.
Wow. I'm honored.
Making him want to do it is the tricky part. But so
just imagining
while he is
Benedict Cumberbatch gone with Stretch Armstrong's going like
while he is ridiculously strong and fast and critical thinker, it should be worth noting that Khan's first appearance was just a normal episode of Star Trek.
Yep.
Which he almost takes over the ship. Then
we're talking the original series.
Yeah. He causes a mutiny, basically. He is able to convince a lot of the crew to turn on Kirk. But they are able to take the ship back. They maroon him on a planet that has life, but they just take away his ship. Like, you're stuck here. Just enjoy paradise. We'll check on you later. He comes back later in the movie. That's Wrath of Khan.
Yep.
Okay.
He already has a beef with Kirk.
Massive beef.
Because that planet blows up, basically.
We're talking like prime Wagyu.
A nearby planet blows up, and it just turns his paradise into like a hellscape.
A desert wasteland.
Wasteland, yeah. He turns into a Mad Max. But anyway, My point is, as strong as he is, in the first episode that he's actually in, he loses to Kirk when he gets beaten up by a lead pipe. Just worth noting. So he's not like God. He's strong.
He's strong, but he's not.
He also-
he's not omnipotent.
Yeah, lead pipes is his weakness.
He is also...
Hagar could take
I was
him.
about to say Hagar would be a strong counter.
Mike Hagar would stop him.
Okay.
He also is susceptible to emotional problems as well.
He also doesn't take phasers very well. We learned that in Star Trek 2.
Yeah.
He gets up faster than you'd think, which I don't know why they didn't just keep shooting him, but he got stunned pretty hard for a brief time.
Yep.
Anyway, he is very cool in the second movie of the new ones. He's a great character. Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yep.
Is a great actor.
Great job. Amazing. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Love the fact that we got to see at least silhouettes of Klingons in the newer movies.
Did they?
That was when Khan first shows up in the movie.
Yeah, they go to a Klingon world.
Yeah. I don't think it was Kronos.
It might have been
It might have been Kronos, which
But
is
they're-
the Klingon homeworld.
super secret objectives.
Mhm.
But everything he did was to help him and his people survive better.
Lest we forget the corruption within Starfleet as well that took place as part of the plot.
Which is why he did what he did. He
The-
is the sympathetic character.
Yeah, the terrifying, like, juggernaut ship that was created
Yeah, that is able to fight in warp.
in a friggin' warp.
Yeah.
So the Enterprise is flying at warp away from this, like, juggernaut ship. And the bad guy is an admiral
Okay.
within Starfleet.
Yeah, the admiral shows up and is like, I sent you here to kill Khan. You were supposed to just die here. So it kind of ruins my plan that you didn't. And so Kirk's like, well, I feel really bad about that. Let me just, and like warp speeds and bails
And
to try and, because he's like, we're warp 1. They will not be able to catch us before we get to the planet. We'll just tell them everything we know, and that's it.
however, the juggernaut ship is just like,
You see him cruising, and then you hear, whoa, 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 and this thing just like shows up.
and matches their speed in their warp
Yeah.
bubble.
And just starts shooting, and it immediately like slips and slides and just shoots out of
It's-
warp speed and like tumbles.
Okay.
Did you see Thor Ragnarok?
I did.
You remember when Thor and Loki are trying to get back to Asgard and Hela's just like beneath them?
I don't.
I don't either.
So never mind. Same concept.
Okay.
Like Hela and Thor start fighting and she just kind of like kicks Loki out of the stream and he just goes, wah!
Yeah.
And so
Really cool scene. Probably
Which-
like the best scene of the movie.
one of the better ones. Mind you, there's a lot of good ones in that movie.
Yes.
But yeah, in that movie, like that concept at that time in the Star Trek like timeline is unheard of.
Nothing goes faster than warp 1 at that time.
No, shut up. That's a false statement. The fact that the fact that Star Trek, like there was this secret project where someone was able to generate a ship that could invade another warp bubble as well as shoot mid-warp is insane. And then it just happens. And it's just like,
Excuse
where have you
me.
been?
Nowhere is safe.
And then, the second movie, very good.
Very
A
good.
lot of greatness in that movie. You get to see Khan beat the fuck out of people, as well as kill the Admiral.
They did the reverse Wrath of Khan, where
Yep.
originally it was Spock who dies.
In the
When it was Kirk.
Yep.
This one it's Kirk, and he's got to, instead of just lifting a thing off a thing and putting the thing back on the thing,
Kirk had to actually
he
go
had to,
into
like, go into,
the warp reactor room.
See, the thing about these movies is everyone has to be turned up to 11, like
Okay.
Which
at every given time.
I have no problems with. I love it because it's Star Trek.
Makes it fun.
It does.
Old Star Trek isn't like that though.
It
So
still
when
hits.
you say it's Star Trek,
It's still, at the time, it still hits.
Mhm.
Because, the new cranked to 11, back then that was cranked to 11, was like, oh shit, Spock died. Now the new cranked to 11 is Kirk having to go into the warp reactor room, physically try and realign the, dilithium track or whatever.
do you remember in the first of the Chris Pines movies when he has numb tongue? And,
Num dum.
and he's trying to explain.
And he's also got giant
he's
finger
got
hands.
big finger hands. He's like, was the signal that came through Romulan? But he can't say that. He's like,
No, he's like, Romulan.
and Uhura's like, is it what? And he's like, Romulan. And she's like, Romulan, yes. He's like, oh, and he just starts like running through the ship.
And he just starts like,
Bones, who is actually the new Judge Dredd.
he is.
Some great kick.
As well as, so it's Kyle Urban, who's, do you see The Boys?
No.
You remember Lord of the Rings?
Yes.
He's the head of the Rohirrim, the horse guys.
The people who shriek at you whenever they're on screen.
No, those are the ring wraiths.
Those are Nargles.
You're also right.
Boom!
Nargle?
Nargles.
Is that another
Nargles.
name for them?
Yeah, that's what they're called.
Oh.
Ring wraiths, Nargles. I also could be wrong. It's been a while, but yeah. Either way, Bones.
He is chasing behind him like, I'm not joking, you need to keep your heart rate down. He's like injecting him with stuff to try and like, because he's having like reactions to whatever. What was the thing?
I think it was he was having a reaction to
he got knocked out.
So Bones injected him with a weird thing that gave him weird symptoms. And the dude was like, he can't be here. And Bones is like, well, as his physician, as part of Starfleet regulations, I'm his physician. He's coming with me. And that's how Kirk got on the ship in the first place, because he wasn't supposed to be.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
he was grounded because he cheated in the Kobayashi.
The Kobayashi Maru,
Yes, he cheated. Blatantly cheated.
which was also mentioned in the William Shatner movies as well.
Yeah, but it didn't mention that Spock was the one who created the Kobayashi Maru in the first place.
Correct.
That was news.
The third movie.
I cannot put any input here.
So since we've been talking about good Star Trek stuff, should we talk about the animated series?
So the animated series,
I've seen I've seen only a few snippets.
so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. It basically,
Is your foot on that?
It is.
Okay, sorry.
so classic Star Trek was a product of its time. It didn't have the budget. It
Mhm.
wasn't a big hit.
Oh no, I've seen some of the memes too.
Oh yeah, of course.
The
But just to preface this.
Oh, yeah, it was unhinged.
It basically, they're like, let's do a Western theme because the set next door has Western props and they're done filming. So we're going to borrow these props so we can do all of those episodes are themed. Here's a Roman capital theme.
talking about the animated one, right?
No, the classic one.
Uh-huh.
A lot of those are
Oh yeah,
these are clearly borrowed
Oh, yeah.
outfits.
I know the original series.
Right.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, with the animated,
Mhm.
they didn't have that restrictions lifted. So it's just your imagination
Yeah.
is the limit now. They didn't have to do, we have a giant white bunny outfit. Let's have it run around in front of the dock and
Mhm.
have them go nuts. Now they have an animated bunny
Mhm.
jumping around in front of the doctor.
Yeah.
He says, "Oh, my whiskers, I'm late." He says that. That's
Is that something that actually happens?
Yes, in both the classic and the animated.
What
Bones.
the shit?
Oh, this episode is classic. They land on this planet, and just everything that they could ever want just keeps happening. And at first, it's weird hallucinations. That Bones just sees the white rabbit from Alice in Wonderland skip by, but it's a super obvious suit. It's a full-grown man in a bunny
Mhm.
suit.
I'm looking at it right now. What the actual shit?
Yeah, and he just runs out, and everyone's like, Bones is did anyone just see that rabbit? And everyone's like, Bones, you're hallucinating. There's nothing out here. We've scanned
Yeah.
everything, Bones.
Yeah.
But they reference it in the animated series as well. I think that one's called Shore Leave. turns out that it's actually a paradise for other aliens, and they all just go to hang there. But like, it gives you whatever you want, even if you want to die. It lets you experience that, but they don't know that they're there, and the way that the human mind thinks, it takes those as requests. So whatever they imagine is what happens. So like it goes bad quickly, basically. And they're like, "We're very sorry you didn't enjoy our paradise. Come back another time when you're more evolved." And they send them up.
Evolved.
Yeah. So my knowledge, for the record, of the original series is very rusty. I may have only gone through that like once.
Classic.
I am not a huge fan of the original series. I'd rather just watch the movies.
Every time there's a female, they put a fog filter on them.
Mm-hmm.
Makes it a little younger looking. You can't see any wrinkles when the...
Oh, no. It's not a fog filter. They just smear some Vaseline on the camera.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which, strangely enough, from my understanding, that is a legit... yes. Kevin is showing us part of the episode where Spock summons Satan.
Yes. Well, Satan goes on trial in that episode, actually. And Kirk defends him.
Go figure.
Whatever race he comes from is like, "Hey, you've been nothing but a nuisance, and not just to us, but to every race you've ever encountered, and we're here to just put you to death." And he's like, "I'm just doing what I thought was right." And Kirk's like, "Hey, he's just doing what he thought was right." And the alien race is like, "Do you even know who this guy is? Do you know what he's done to your people specifically?" And Kirk's like, "It don't matter. Why don't you just shut up?" And they're like, "Well, in light of this new evidence, I guess we'll set him free." It was great. It was great.
Yeah. Also, as a quick side note, as you all can see over there, and by you all, I mean Danny and Kevin, that second shelf is filled with all the seasons of Star Trek, to include the original series.
How about the animated series?
Nope. My mom didn't really care about that at all. I don't even know if she knew about it, if I'm being honest.
I wonder if it would be hard to find a physical copy of the animated series.
Probably not. I would imagine we could find it like Etsy. Not Etsy, jeez. Zia Records.
I wonder what Star Trek stuff you can find on Etsy.
I imagine there's probably a lot.
The tricorders for sure.
Oh, of course. Probably any of the tricorders from any of the series.
No.
Speaking of which, did you watch Enterprise?
I did not watch Enterprise. That's with
you can get the animated series on Amazon for $15.
Wow.
I know what we're doing.
You can buy it.
I know what I'm doing.
It's got a pretty nice case.
Does it?
It does. Look at that.
Oh, that's great.
Still looks awful, but what's on sale? You saved $7 instead of it being $21.99.
What about shipping?
I probably would have said it's 15 now. Probably goes up to what, like 20?
Well, it's on sale right now, but if it's free shipping, maybe.
Well, my parents do have Prime.
I also have Prime.
John has Prime.
I'm not part of the big Amazon industry. I don't support them.
To be fair, random side note to get away from Target,
Amazon?
Star Trek. Because I'm part of Prime, there have been a couple close calls where I needed cat litter. And they have been able to get it to me like next day. So, my own laziness being saved by Amazon. Thanks, Jeff Bezos.
Don't thank him. He's a monster.
Without him, we wouldn't have Amazon.
What did he do that made him a monster?
He avoided...
That's a completely different.
That's a completely different topic that we should not talk about on here. He has done some shady shit before.
Okay, I want to hear about it after.
Sure. As it turns out, funnily enough, from the gifts of my phone, we can do longer on the episode if you want. So, this episode specifically.
Do we have any more Star Trek to cover? What about? Okay.
How dare you ask that question?
I'm trying to think of a memorable episode.
Unless you are wanting to wrap things up, Kevin? Are you feeling so? Are you sufficiently Star Trek'd out?
I'm getting there. I'm not there yet,
Okay.
but I'm getting there.
So let's list a couple good episodes. Okay.
Amir Darkly.
I don't recognize the title.
That is the inverse Star Trek, like multiverse, where there's it's one of many episodes across all series where it's like the inverse universe, where like everyone is like Starfleet is evil.
What series does this take place in?
It initially takes place during the original series.
Oh.
That's where you get Spock with a mustache.
Oh.
As I pull my phone out
delightful.
to see this right now.
Does he also have emotions?
He is like he has the evil mustache, but he's still a Vulcan.
Okay.
So he's honestly just more like methodically cruel, but also not necessarily evil. If I remember correctly,
What the actual hell?
if I remember correctly, you're actually getting close to the DS9's first episode.
What, is Quark going to be a good guy? Is Odo going to be a bad guy?
I won't spoil it for you.
Is Kira going to be calm and collected? Is
No.
Cisco going to not listen to...
Do you want me to spoil it for you?
Is he not going to listen to duty?
Do you want me to spoil it for you?
Is his son going to suck a baseball again?
Suck a baseball?
Suck at baseball.
Oh, I was like...
Because Cisco, every time he talks about his son, he's like, he beats me in baseball now. He throws a really mean slider.
Do you want me to spoil it for you?
Is that when Cisco grows out? He shaves and grows out a beard.
Do you want me to spoil it for you?
When does he get the beard, John?
He gets the beard in a later season.
So it's not that episode.
Oh.
Well,
It's not even that season.
You said something interesting was going to happen with the Doctor, but I have yet to see how this Doctor is as good as the...
Which I also told you was a later season.
But I don't know how it's going to top the Voyager's Doctor.
I think it's season 3.
You guessed season 2 last time.
Well, I'm sorry that I'm not perfect.
Apology accepted, John.
Wow.
Remember that time when Neelix warps up at the same time as Tuvok and they become
They become Tuvix?
Tuvix?
Oh,
That sounds horrifying.
Kevin, if you
look up Tuvix, Kevin.
just look up Voyager Tuvix, Tuvix.
So Neelix is the
The morale officer,
the morale
as well as chef.
chef. He's the chef, and Tuvok is a Vulcan, and
Albeit-
they fuse together. They don't like each other at the time,
It's more of Tuvok tolerates Neelix.
barely.
At that time, it's barely.
But they fuse together and they create a whole new person.
It looks really gross.
He does, but he's great because he's the best of both of them, and he can. And I assume he can still cook. I don't remember that
He does.
detail, but he's also pretty scientific.
He's logical.
Yes,
He's somewhat logical, as well as also again, it's the best parts of Neelix and Tuvok.
and they're like, "Oh man, we need to figure out how to separate these two back into because this was a horrible accident that happened."
And then Tuvix is
Tuvix is like, "I don't want to do that.
I don't want this to happen. I don't want to die.
That'll kill me. Like, I'll go back to being those two people, but I won't exist anymore, and I like existing. I
And-
like the state I'm in right now."
And so it's the moral dilemma of like, well, do we fix the problem by killing the person, or
Do we just
Do
go
we-
without a science officer / cook? Like direct, we have to. Yeah,
he's not a science officer. He's security.
Do we go without a security officer?
And a morale officer / cook.
Because he can't do everything, and so it's like, given their situation in Voyager, being unable to recruit anything else, being very far away from any recruiting stations, Janeway, the captain, is like, I am ordering you to go die and split so we can have both of you again because I need both of them. And he's just like, well, if that's what you command, I guess there's nothing else I can do about it. So like the finale of that episode is just walking him over to where he's going to die.
With like the somber music and all that jazz.
And he's like,
Wow.
yeah. And she made a hard call right there.
And so, speaking of combining the two topics that have just been mentioned, the inverse universe Voyager episode was that one where the Doctor gets sent into the future. Or where he pops back up in the future and you've got like evil Janeway and evil Chakotay.
I do remember that.
That's their, hey, get down.
Talk to the hand, Milton.
That is that series' version of that. Because they didn't have a legit good way to implement that plot. Or that plot device.
So this is something that every series of Star Trek addresses at least once.
I believe so. I don't know if Enterprise had one off the top of my head.
What's the Star Trek Discovery? I think they go to the evil universe.
I haven't seen that one.
If I'm not mistaken, it's a plot point that they go and like switch places or something. They're able to go to evil universe, and they find it a little evil.
So I guess going back to the very beginning of the Star Trek conversation, I guess I should make a redaction. I have seen every Star Trek except for the animated series, Discovery, Seth MacFarlane's whatever, and then...
He made an animated series.
No, he made
you're talking about his
live action Star Trek parody.
It's a parody.
Whatever it is. And then I haven't seen Below Decks.
That's the animated one.
That's the animated one.
You haven't seen Star Trek Picard either.
I have not seen that one either.
I'm trying to remember the name of Seth MacFarlane's.
I don't care, if I'm being honest. Either way.
I don't remember.
On
On the topic of evil parallel universes, have you ever heard of a show called Fringe?
I've heard of it. It's not Star Trek, though.
It's not, but it is super sciencey, just like Star Trek.
Yeah.
It's a great show, and anyone who hasn't seen it should definitely watch it. If you are not of weak will.
You know what else people should watch? Animorphs.
Based on what?
People should watch it.
I also recommend that you watch Animorphs.
Why?
Because
I read a lot of Animorphs growing up.
yeah, it was a great part of my childhood. I read a part one of a two-parter of Animorphs, and it was a cliffhanger, and I just never had the other book, so I don't know how it ended. I assume not very well.
No.
Or maybe it ended great.
Who knows? But back to Star Trek. What else do we want to talk about?
What's another episode you like? What's your favorite episode of Deep Space Nine? Is it a baseball episode?
I mean, that one is... It's actually really funny. Because you get to watch Ferengis try and play baseball. And it's hilarious.
Imagine it would be like our version of soccer. Where the people will roll on the ground and fake injuries a lot to try and get points.
It's more of they don't know how... Like, they don't know how to throw a baseball.
So you laugh at their inability to play sports? That's messed up, John.
Not their inability. It's just that they aren't learning how to properly do it.
As a nerd, I take offense to that. This jock over here.
Wow.
I don't know if I could narrow it down to one. Actually, I definitely couldn't narrow it down to one.
So maybe not absolute favorite, but how about one of note that has come to your mind?
The first one that comes to mind... There's two that come to mind. And they are they're like season 6.
So like 800 episodes away.
Something like that. I don't want to talk about them because there'll be spoilers for you.
Well, then do a non-story oriented one.
I can only talk about one then. because the other one includes a story problem.
I've got one for Kevin, unless you want to talk about that one, because I've already listed one.
I can give a TLDR version of it.
Let's do it.
There's a transporter accident, and the main, the ops crew, the main crew of DS9, gets trapped in a holodeck.
It's a holodeck episode.
Yeah.
Is it the? What is?
Where the ops crew, characters in the holo novel, essentially get their physical appearance is the replacement of characters in the holo novel, but it's those actors then having to be the characters they're normally playing, but as the holo novel characters.
So kind of like Sonic and the Secret Rings.
I don't think so. But that's a good segue.
That's about as TLDR as I can go without spoiling it for you.
Okay. So, Kevin, I know for a fact you have seen the Silver Surfer animated TV show.
Yes, we've watched it together.
Yes. You remember the episode we've watched about the virtual reality.
Actually, you know what? What's funny? Every time I've sat down to watch that show, it's always been that episode. So that's the only episode of that show I've ever seen. 4 times.
Okay. So that episode, with that episode in mind, I'm going to tell you about this episode.
Okay.
This is an odd segue. Where are we going here?
So in the Silver Surfer episode,
Sure.
Correct me when I make mistakes here, Kevin. He finds himself on an alien planet with a alien race that basically are like, reality sucks. We're just going to make virtual reality so we can be whatever we want and do whatever we want.
Okay.
And he's like, that's no way to live life, alien nerds. And stops them from doing that, forces them to exist in the world.
And they hate it.
And they hate it.
And there's a really awful stock scream.
And that's the end of the episode.
I think I know. Is it a DS9 episode?
It is DS9 episode.
I think I know it.
So there's an episode in Deep Space Nine where the crew lands on, they're looking for tachyon part, some science mumbo jumbo through the wormhole on the other side.
Is it the one with just Dax and Odo?
Yes.
Okay.
They land and they're like, there's some sort of particle that we're looking for on this planet. So they go down and they find a civilization, and they had just scanned it. There was no civilization, but they're looking around, and sure enough, it's not humans, but some kind of humanoid.
They're human-esque.
Humanoid.
Humanoids. And so they're a whole people, and they're we've been disappearing one by one. And you're the most suspicious people we've ever seen in our lives. You must be kidnapping us. And they're like, hold on. We just got here, first of all. Let's help you. We can help you, because we could leave at any time. Just so we're clear, I could leave. And he warps up to the ship, and they're like, what just happened? And he warps back just so we're clear, we're not the bad guys, because if we were, we would just leave. But we'll help you look for it. So it's a mysterious episode. Why are people disappearing? What's happening? They find out no one's allowed to go beyond the valley or something.
May I make an educated prediction that they're all in a simulation? The people that are disappearing are dying because their real life bodies are dying.
That's pretty close.
Okay.
They end up all being simulation, except for one guy who has set up this whole device and is living in this fake version of but the machine that's projecting all these people is losing power. So they end up repowering it and fixing it. But they didn't realize the one dude, there was someone who was real. They thought it was all
simulation.
Holograms.
Okay.
So when they deactivate it and one dude's still standing there, he's like, well, you figured me out, you jerks.
Yeah.
And he's like, I was my life is really depressing, and I just wanted to have, he was really old.
He's like, I'm the last one left.
He's like, I'm the last one. I just wanted to be with my people before I go. And I've been living here in this fantasy world. But they're just that. So if you can't even get it running again, if you can't fix them and put them back, then
kill me.
Oh well, who cares? And they're like, whoa, man, these are your people. You can't just turn your back on them. And he's like, they're data, they're holograms, whatever. And he's like, did you program that little girl to really like whatever toy she was playing with? He's like, no, they adapt stuff. Like the holograms will get together and have children. Like it's progressive. He's like, but you didn't program that little girl to like that. You didn't program their personality. So who's to say that they're not real? Who am I to tell you that those holograms aren't just as real as you and me, but just in a different context? And the guy's like, all right, cool. So he's like, we're going to turn this back on. You can live out your hologram dreams. And they do exactly that. And it's a feel-good episode, and they leave.
So that had a much more wholesome ending than
yeah,
I was
and I was like, and when I saw that, my mind went straight to the Silver Surfer episode where he's like,
but reversed.
Let me unplug this machine, you bunch of nerds. I'm out, and just like boards away.
He teaches them how to not be awful.
And it's
there's a segment about that. He just remember because it's those weird horse people.
They have horse heads.
And I just remember the one horse guy. He just yells something. He's like, "I'm Beta Ray Bill."
Oh, Beta Ray Bill! I do remember.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then Thanos is in that episode.
Dormammu.
Yeah, but Dormammu isn't real.
Good Lord. Okay.
There's a lot of stuff happening.
I think it's Lady Death is the actual character, but it looks like Danny and I called her Dormammu because it looks like Dormammu from NBC 3, but just a girl in green.
Got it.
So it's Dormammu.
No, it's the fact that you're like, it's a Silver Surfer like episode or anime or whatever.
Oh, I wish that was an anime.
Or animated series, and it's just like, yeah, no, Silver Surfer, and then Thanos and Lady Death are there, and oh, by the way,
Beta Ray
Bill's there, and I'm like, huh?
So yeah, I was enjoying the contrast because it's like that the Silver Surfer one is a product of our parents' or our parents' views on
life,
in general. Reality, altered state. Whereas this one is a little more newer,
wholesome.
So it's fun to see the differences of opinion in media, I suppose.
Yeah.
The message is different that they convey, the moral.
In terms of the episodes of like DS9 that you've seen,
yes. Did you think of one?
No, I'm trying to think of one now.
What about the ones with Space Karen?
I hate her.
I think that's unanimous.
It extremely is. And oh, Danny, you sweet summer child.
She's a jerk, Kevin.
Why is she a jerk?
There's a reason why she is known as Space Karen.
She's like runner-up for Pope of this planet.
The title is Kai.
Okay, but he's not going to know what Kai.
Yeah, when you say Kai, I think of Guilty Gear.
I think of Dragon Ball Z,
but she's not as powerful as the Kais in Dragon Ball Z.
Nowhere fucking close.
She's basically Space Pope.
She's Pope.
She's runner-up. There's several people.
It's a vote.
Cisco kills the Space Pope after being told he's going to lead them to freedom. He ends up indirectly getting her killed. So there's a vacant spot. So all these other Space Popes in trainings are trying to take the one spot.
For the record, he didn't mean to kill her.
Yes, it was unintentional.
There was an oops.
Okay.
There was an accident.
She knew she was going to die to take guilt off of him. Not that there's ever any closure in these episodes.
Oh, of course.
But so basically, a lot of different Space Popes are vying for that lead Space Pope spot. But the ones that we see is really chill guy that has a crush on one of the characters in the show, and Space Karen, who basically wants to kill everybody who's not her race, but like is very secretive and smart about it.
She's part of a fanatical, like religious cult, and so because she's the head of that group, she can toss her hat in the ring. So,
and she was like. She basically has set up the chill Pope guy to be assassinated by one of her fanatics. And then it didn't happen. There was an attempted assassination, but they saved him in time. And then she was like, I didn't know he was going to do that. It was just some crazy guy. And so her hands are clean. No one can pin it on her. and she just continues to wreck everything.
God.
Whenever she shows up, it's trouble. It's a lot of trouble. But
Except this time it's not fun getting into trouble.
it's... It was fun getting into trouble when that alien race came through and was like, hey, you cheated at this Domjot table. Let's play our game now. I call it Domjot to trigger John, but he's not listening.
Domjot doesn't trigger me.
No, but it wasn't Domjot. I was trying to trigger you by saying it was a Domjot table.
Oh,
But
Dabo table.
It was Dabo.
Yeah. I'm looking up the episodes for Deep Space Nine that you've seen because I don't remember a bunch of them.
Gotcha.
Another one that comes to mind is where Quark gambles. Was it Cisco, Kira, Dax, and Julian's lives in the game?
Yes, I was just prefacing this. So, a new alien race shows up through the through the vortex, through the wormhole.
The wormhole.
And is like, we like games. And he's like, well, we have plenty of gambling games. And so they go do that. But they're good at it. For some reason.
I believe this one sounds familiar.
Okay, yeah. So they're good at it.
Mm-hmm.
Quark doesn't like that they're winning, so he cheats. And they catch him cheating. And they're like, now we're going to play my game. And basically gambles the lives of his friends. Quark learns a lesson and then continues doing everything he did before that episode anyway. It was great.
Really any episode with the Grand Nagus.
Yeah, what's that actor's name?
Armin...
San Diego?
No, Armin Zimmerman or something like that?
That was close.
The guy who's inconceivable from
Oh, okay, yeah.
He's like
Principal Mason, right?
yes.
Yes.
He is the lead. He's like the space pope for the for Quark's people. He's like the richest and most powerful one.
He's the head of the Ferengi. He's like the lead Ferengi of like the entire Ferengi.
And
Okay.
being played by that guy is like the perfect cast.
Oh, 100%.
He's so great in that role. But
Like-
he's just like,
Casting director for that role alone gets like an A+.
he's like a whiny guy. He just comes in, he's like, oh, Quark, I see you've got your bar set up just fine. And I may take this establishment one day. And Quark's like,
No.
don't, please. But he can't help it because he's just so powerful.
Mhm.
Since he's the leader of the space popes, he's like, he gets what he wants. And so he always comes in, he's like, I have a deal for you, Quark. If you can secure this deal over here. And they all backstab each other. That race is very, very alien to us humans.
I was about to say, it sounds like if they're like that, they would have a really hard time, like, existing, because they just, like, be trying to one-up and backstab each other.
That's exactly what they do. That's how they all do it. And they have rules that lay it out clearly for them. The rules of acquisition. There's, 600-something rules of acquisition?
Something like that. I think there's maybe like 400.
I think one of the rules is, like, never let your family get in the way of a good deal or something like that.
Oh,
Like,
there's like rule 139 or something like that. That's like war is good for business, and then 140 is peace is good for business. There's just stuff like that,
Okay.
and it's
all
great.
because he argues logic with a
Vulcan.
A Vulcan in the last episode I saw.
Mind you, I think she's a terrible excuse for a Vulcan. If
Wow.
I'm being honest.
She's smuggling guns. He's like, y'all suck at this logic thing. And she's like, are you challenging me, a Vulcan, to logic? He's like, yeah, just hear me out here. And like spells it out for her. And she's like, wow, you really are smarter than me.
I'm trying to remember where you left off.
Pretty much that episode. It was a two-parter. The Marquee, part 1 and 2.
There we go.
Human terrorists.
Human.
Oh, Danny. The next episode. The one that's called The Wire.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Garrick episode. And I want to watch it with you. It's going to be so good. Because you get to learn more about Garrick.
I already learned about Garrick.
You get to learn more.
Garrick is a great character. He's
Garrick's
the Taylor.
amazing.
Okay.
He's the Cardassian spy, Taylor.
I do recall.
Yes.
I went through like the list of episodes up until where you stopped.
Mhm.
None of them ring any bells to me.
That's
Okay, let me rephrase that. None of them ring any just like, oh, that was amazing.
Stand out.
Because again, like the
crowd.
first 2 seasons, you will find very quickly at the end of season 2 that the beginnings of who the big bad of the series is. And they will continue to be a factor for the rest of the show.
Is it the people that the Grand Nagus heard about?
The Dominion.
The Dominion. They're bad. They're the bad guys. Okay.
And you find out why pretty quick.
They're like, we run this quadrant of space.
Sounds like the kind of dude.
I really do want to see. I want, just again, as I said this before, with the D&D campaign, I want to get through like all of it, and I want to see your reaction. Because going on a slight tangent following that topic, you start.
He's pointing at me.
I'm pointing at Kevin. Got to see part of what happens in the campaign near the end before we stopped and like restarted.
I do remember that. Yeah, that's some cool stuff coming.
And I'm just like,
Nice.
go.
He's very excited.
I am. Like, I'm more excited than the tournament.
Okay.
Like, because you're going to be able to see me get really nasty.
We shall see, John. We shall see.
Yes.
Were there any closing thoughts for the Star Trek episode? Which is not to say we won't
revisit it later
segue into more Star Trek
in
occasionally.
a future episode. But Kai Wynn is a bitch.
Is that Space Pope?
Yep.
Pope Karen?
The new one, yeah.
Okay.
He said Kai win. I just imagined Giltigir and Kai winning.
Yeah.
I try not to imagine that.
You don't like Kai in the new one?
No, and I'll tell you why. Because the
Keys.
game says that he's the easiest character by far
To play?
to play.
Okay.
There's a difficulty rating on how,
Mm-hmm.
and he's the only 5-star character in terms of easy to play. Everyone else, even Giovanna, is 4-star, and I think she's got like 2 moves. She's just raw rush down in your face. But
Yeah. So have you seen... I don't think I got an answer to this. Did you see Enterprise?
no, that's with Scott Bakula.
Yes.
I have not.
I would
I've-
recommend it because that takes place before Kirk.
I did see one episode.
Mm-hmm.
Vulcans were the bad guys in this episode. And I was like, what?
Yeah. Because in that timeline, or that part of the timeline, there's some shenanigans that goes on.
Who are the blue people? What's their race?
The Andorians.
The Andorians.
They're the ones that have the like.
They have Shrek ears.
They actually do. They have these little like feelers up here,
Okay.
and yeah, you find that Jeffrey Combs, who plays one of the most frequent Andorians, because I think Enterprise was shot along the same time as DS9. Jeffrey Combs comes in a lot in DS9 as well.
You said Enterprise is before original Star Trek?
Correct.
Do Andorians live long lives? Or does he play other characters?
I don't think Andorians take really any part
Okay.
in any of the other series, unless they're maybe in Discovery, or if they are in any of the other series, there's no like major Andorians.
Okay.
Which is unfortunate
So
because they're also very like honorable war, like for the fight.
The episode I saw, Scott Bakula was warming up to that race.
Mhm.
Yeah. You said he shows up in Deep Space Nine though, as other
Not
characters.
as other characters,
Okay.
not as that character, because that means that he would be like
Very old.
like
Spock old.
older,
Spolder.
Spolder Boulder. That's a Pokemon name right there, Spolder.
Yeah.
It could be like a fungal boulder.
I have
I was
one.
thinking a boulder spider.
That works.
I have one outgoing thought
Yeah.
to wrap up my feelings on the Star Trek episode.
A particular episode in general? Or?
Oh no, this episode.
Got it.
In Star Trek Voyager, Andy Dick was a special character.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's my closing thought.
I will say this. I'm happy that he was only in one episode. Because, so the gist of that, Starfleet found a way to send a super high-tech, we're talking like super high-tech ship into that quadrant where Voyager was stuck in. And they were like, hey, we left a ship for you. There it is. And you come to find out that for whatever reason, I can't remember what happens exactly because it's been a while, Voyager's doctor, being a hologram, gets like transferred to that ship. There's no crew. It's just Andy Dick as a hologram. Voyager's doctor as a hologram.
His name is Doctor.
And those two are having to run a ship. Super high-tech ship. Just those two.
Huh.
And that's where, if I remember correctly, that's where the doctor's command protocol gets enacted.
Hmm.
I think.
Andy Dick is in Star Trek Voyager. Do you have any closing thoughts, John? Any closing remarks about Star Trek?
I need to see Picard.
Star Trek Picard?
Because 709 shows back up.
Yeah.
And I want to see what that interaction between 7 of 9 and Capitan Jean-Luc Picard.
I know a little of it. The things I've heard are not positive.
Yeah, I've also heard that the show is not great.
I third that.
Kevin, any closing thoughts about Star Trek as a whole? Any final facts you wish to put out
Final
about Star
facts, the final frontier.
Trek? Final Frontier.
I
can't believe I kissed you. Must have been your greatest ambition. That's Kirk talking to himself because he loves himself so much.
That is specifically Undiscovered Country.
What does God need with a starship?
That is a different movie. Long story short, that Kirk on Kirk scene is
Fan service.
it is extremely fan service just for William Shatner.
Yeah.
But Kirk and Bones get stuck on a Klingon penal colony.
I see where this is going. Okay.
And they meet a shapeshifter. Not like Odo, but a different type of shapeshifter. And so there's this weird scene where the three of them escape. They're at a campfire, and she turns into Kirk. And so it's just Kirk talking to Kirk. And Bones got knocked the fuck out by her. And it's just Kirk on Kirk. And they're just, I can't believe I kissed you.
Must have been your greatest ambition. And then they just start punching each
They
other.
just start fighting each other. And it's just a great scene for no reason.
Yeah, it's really good.
Anyway, closing comments for the family fun Trekula.
Even a quote. Aren't they called Trekkers? What did you say, Trekula?
I don't know. I just said Trekula. I don't know why.
Is
They're
it like,
Trekkies.
It's like
yeah, it's Trek. I know it's Trekkies.
It's like Bacula.
Yeah.
Trekula.
Yeah.
Specific.
Trekula.
Count Trekula.
I'm trying to think of one.
Yours is superior.
I will say it is definitely a show that gets more interesting to me the older I get.
Yes.
I'm sure that us talking about it incessantly just is not helping you.
No, not at all. There will be times I'm working with Danny, and he'll just tell me about. So he'll be like, "All right, so this nightmare episode," and we'll just explain this whole situation of an episode to me.
Oh, we haven't even explained that there's just episodes that are just literal nightmare fuel.
Well, so on that subject, with you working with Danny, and you just get like the full rundown from Danny, it is like a highlight of my day when Danny just starts all caps messaging me like, "What the fuck is Quark?"
It's like, most of my messages to John go like this. Oh, look, Quark messed up again and there's no consequences. Oops, I didn't mean to accidentally sell nuclear missiles to the enemy. Silly me. End of episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you're not a big fan of the no consequences.
It's so strange to me that in Deep Space Nine, which I am enjoying immensely, all things aside, it's so weird to me that every episode ends before all the red tape comes in.
Yeah.
And they just don't address any of it.
Yeah.
Sisko killed the space pope. He left with her on a mission and came back without her. And not a single Bajoran has been like, hey, what'd you do out there? What happened?
Because you seem to misunderstand the fact that things happen between episodes. Everything that happens, there's a report that gets sent to Starfleet. Or the Bajoran Council.
If I worshipped my space pope, which would just be Earth Pope, and
Pope Francis.
And he went on a ship with an alien who was entrusted to guard him.
Mm-hmm.
And then they left and they came back and just the alien was left and Space Pope is just gone and reportedly dead. I would at the very least not want that alien to work for me anymore. I'd be like, that's kind of a line you crossed.
So, a couple things. One, said alien is of equal reverence as the Pope, as you call her, with him being the emissary of the prophets.
Yes.
And so there's that. Two, you can bet damn well that he was like, hey, slight problem, Bajoran Council, Bajoran Provisional Government at the time. So Kai Opaka, I took her to the other side of the wormhole, granted by the prophets, and there was an accident with the ship. There's nothing I could do. She is going to die if I take her off that planet.
She's already dead, but on this planet,
for some reason, everybody
nanomachines-
resurrects.
Nanomachines fix you if they get in your blood. So after you die once, you come back, and then they're just locked in eternal war. They're just stabbing each other every day, and then they get up the next day and do it again. And she's like, I'm going to teach these people peace.
Who knows if it works? You never see her again.
Spoilers.
That is a spoiler, John. I was hoping she was going to teach them all peace. But
You can have whatever headcanon you want at this point.
do you remember Captain... Was it like Captain Nefarious or something?
I really hope that was someone's name in that show.
Captain Proton and like...
Oh, yeah, Captain Proton. You mean Voyager with Tom Paris and Harry Kim.
Yeah, but what's the bad guy's name? Something really cheesy because it was based off 60s like action serials. It's like Dr. Chaos or something.
Dr. Chaotica,
Chaotica.
I think was his name.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that is my final ultimate thought. There needs to be more consequences to actions in Deep Space Nine.
You're getting there. Slowly but surely, you're getting there.
I can't wait.
Like I said again and again. Again and again.
Again and again.
The first two seasons, maybe partway through the third season, it's just build up.
Mhm.
It's just build up. And shit's going to start happening. Big shit. Big shout out to Big Shit.
Big shout out to Big Shit.
It's pretty
happening.
big.
Is, going to start happening. And so I will be there whenever you want to watch an episode, Danny.
Okay.
Except for when Eric's there and wants to watch Amphibia or Owl House.
I'm okay with Owl House. I do like that show quite a bit.
I had forgot that first season existed, and
Owl House?
he showed Danny the first episode of season 2 yesterday.
Oh, that's right. Season 2 did just drop.
I forgot that it existed. And so we were watching the first episode, and I'm like, they're referencing a lot of things that sound like they've happened before. And they were like, yeah, this is season 2's first episode. And I'm like,
Oh.
He was like, oh, and I was like, do you want to watch season 1? He's like, no. Anyway, I have one request for Ian.
hi, Ian.
If he can find it, this is your request. This is your time to shine. Can we get a gif of Odo turning into a top?
Oh, yeah.
Because that happens. He's a shapeshifter.
That happens in that one episode that he was talking about with all the holograms.
The holograms. The little girl is like,
I love tops. Can you turn into a top? Can
like-
you turn into a loaf of bread? Can you turn into blah, 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 blah?
she's like, hey, you're a shapeshifter, right? And he's like, I am. She's like, they're not real. Why don't you turn into something? He's like, because I don't just do that for people. And he's had a very troubled past with shapeshifting. So she's like, well, I'd like to see a top. And he's like, well, maybe later. I'm trying to solve this mystery of people disappearing. At the very end of the episode, she's like, he's going to leave. And he goes, hey, little girl. And she like turns around. He goes like, right here, Ian. Here's where you put the GIF if you can find it. And he just goes like, and just turns like really crappy CG like.
I gotta look for it.
He goos down into a top.
I'm not going to say Ivan oozes into a top because that's disrespectful for Odo. He deserves better than an Ivan ooze reference.
Why don't you have another quack at
Why
it?
don't you take another quack at it? But I want that GIF. If you can find it, Ian, please. Anyways, I don't think there's anything else to talk about. Are we done here?
I think we are, because Milton's kind of ringing the dinner bell.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next week then.
Yes, as a sneak peek into the next episode, assuming this doesn't change between now and then, we might be talking about E3.
Yes, our thoughts about what has been announced. We'll find out.
Then and there, or prior to the episode. So, with that being said, thank you all for watching. Yes, Milton, I hear you. And we will talk to you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.